CMMS Radio talks about all things CMMS, computerized maintenance management software, focused on maintenance management. It's the people, the process, and the culture that make your CMMS journey a success. This guy, George Williams, here on Friends of Nano at SMRP number 33. George, what's with the suit, man? You always got these nice looking duds.
When you don't have talent, you got to at least look nice.
Oh, come on, get out of here. You got all the talent. Look,
I've always been a person that feels more confident when well dressed, and I take pride in that. And I think I don't know, it's just a me thing. There's not really a purpose behind it other than the way I feel. So I've got to feel good too.
Well, I think it looks great. That suit wears you well. And I also want to thank you for bringing down the awesome recording rig. That is so important to me that people know that. It's why I have ReliabilityX as top billing for the Friends of Nano, presented by CMMS Radio, because the first time I got to use this rig was down in South Carolina, Greenville, when we were doing in February, we were doing the Streamline conference with Alex Bolin, Digital Thinker, and all those great sponsors. So I just want to thank you for that. But let's jump into some SMRP stuff. You ready?
Yeah, man. And thanks to Nano Precise for helping you put all this together. And it's great to be a part of that.
Absolutely, man. And shout out to Kevin Clark and that whole team.
I love Kevin. I've known Kevin so long. I've known Kevin. Wow. I bet you I've known Kevin for at least 15 years. I mean, way back when. But yeah, Kevin's a great guy. He's always been a mentor for me early in my career, a supporter of the work I was trying to do in my previous, professional life, and just an outstanding human being.
I couldn't agree more, and I'm thankful to have him as a friend in the industry, the things that he does, and it's really good stuff. That backdrop is incredible that they made for the end cap here, because they last minute they got the little Corvette guy in there, and I was like, oh, that would be so cool, and they're like, send it, and they put it in there, so that's cool. So SMRP, this is something you've been a part of. As a matter of fact, as a CMRP, you're one of the only people on the planet that I think has won is it twice that you've won CMRP of the year or something like that?
So no, I've only won it once, but ReliabilityX is the only company on the planet with 2 CMRP of the year award winners. So and to be fair, they don't really give that out anymore. I haven't seen it on the radar. And the first several people were just legends in the industry, right? Guys like Terry and Ramesh Gulati, who is my business partner, one of my business partners. And I was really one of the first practitioners to win the award. So someone that was not a consultant, was not a book author, was not, what I'll say at that time, a legend in the industry, right? So it was an incredible honor. And I happened to win that directly alongside a gentleman named Rob Bishop, who was also a Bristol Myers Squibb employee at the time and responsible for our Syracuse site. So not only did we win the Veteran Award, we also won the up-and-comer, the new kid on the block award as well. Within a 12-month span, that team at BMS, and I take no credit for this, but that team won an Uptime Award for Best Maintenance and Reliability Program and produced 2 CMRP of the Year award winners, and subsequently was dismantled. But we won't get into that. But what an amazing team. I mean, it was just an honor to work with that group of people and to watch. Oftentimes people that are successful in what they do and get a lot of the credit for it aren't the folks doing all the work. And while I had to lead that team and I had to point to where we were going, that team just did all the work, and they were just so good, like just amazing. Anyway, enough on that tangent. But yeah, 2 CMRP of the year award winners for ReliabilityX, which we are very proud of, and of course Ramesh, who's the author of Maintenance and Reliability Best Practices. You can't ask for a more knowledgeable and caring and genuine human being than Ramesh is. So we're absolutely thrilled that he's part of our team.
Oh, and I finally got to meet him, and I mean, just a very humble guy, very welcoming, and he keeps it light. I really like that. So with SMRP, you know, had to miss it last year. Yeah. My first one. I mean, I get to see a lot of people now that I never met in person. That's cool. I get to see old friends, make new friends. But you've talked to me in the past on episodes and in private conversations about why the Society of Maintenance and Reliability Professionals is important to you. And I was hoping you could just kind of share a little bit about why this conference is one of your favorites.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been a conference that's been about the practitioner, and it's really hard now. I actually struggle with this. So now that I own a business and I'm a consultancy in this space, I'm the people I would hate to see at the conference. Now, I don't mean the friends and the camaraderie and the network, but the presentations, right? Like, it's great to learn from somebody that does this for a living, and is selling it to you. But it's always better to hear from someone who is going through the struggle and can give you the tidbits on how to overcome that. And this conference is always full of that, which I like. Now that I'm on the other side of that fence, you always want to present, and I feel like I do a fair job at presenting, but you also don't want to take away from the people that want to present their case study that are practitioners. And so you submit maybe one paper. Like Ramesh and I just finished a workshop today, right? So today was our one-day workshop. So that went really well, but you also want to make sure that you balance that with allowing the practitioners to do their thing, because we started this business because the other side of the roller coaster is boring. So pushing the boulder uphill and getting to an apex where a team of people are doing amazing work and plants are actually gaining in the reliability space is an extremely rewarding feeling. And to see the growth of others is a really rewarding feeling. On the other side of that is boredom. On the other side of that is, well, we've got this great global community and they're doing fantastic. They don't need me. And that feeling of accomplishment pushing the boulder uphill is very addictive. The feeling of seeing other people succeed is very addictive. And, I don't know why other people start consultancies, but for us, we started this consultancy because I'm addicted to that feeling, and I can't get it if I work at one company. I can mentor 100 people through that process and satisfy my urge to see people succeed. I can't sit in one seat for 20 years with a company that's well established in reliability and continue to get that we'll say that drug. Always chasing the bigger high. Well, the bigger high is actually helping somebody back up that roller coaster. The initial hill climb is the exciting part. So we started the business for that purpose, because that's addictive, and I want to see that for everybody. So when I present, because I was a practitioner for so long, I do have those case studies, and I do have the challenges that you're going to face, and I love all that. But it also makes it tough because the people in the audience also see you as a consultant. So that's always a little bit of a struggle to kind of make sure that we stay grounded to the fact that we don't want to steal all the spotlight or try to submit 27 papers. We're trying to also be an attendee at a conference like this so we can learn from the people that are presenting their case studies and our practitioners, the challenges that they're having and the solutions that they need and the great successes that they have. We absolutely love that stuff.
That's why when I see you and the team at the booth and you're in these different conversations, or if I, go outside, maybe I'm going to go outside for a break and we join each other and we're talking about all these stories. You guys are so engaged in the conversation as opposed to, look, I want to be fair, but I'll just say it. Some people are just looking for the opportunity as opposed to listening and taking it in and understanding. And that's a big thing for me, where that's hard for some people that have to achieve their goal of selling something to let go of that and focus in on the intention around understanding and discovering. That's what discovery is supposed to be, as opposed to, when's it my turn to talk? When's it my turn to go for the signature or whatever? And I see that in the way you guys all engage with people.
For better or worse. Dan will tell you I am the worst salesperson that can exist. Because when I'm in, if Dan can get me in front of a room full of people, we're winning the bid. Because no one's going to beat our quality, no one's going to beat our background, no one's going to beat our capability. Flat out. But I'll also listen to what their struggles are and immediately start giving them free advice. And sometimes we end up I've literally gone to a plant. This is a true story. I went to a plant that recycles tungsten and turns it back into a powder and sells billets. And I went out there because they said they have a maintenance problem. They want us to take a look at something. I take a look at the particular line that they're having, and before the day was over, I gave them enough advice that they wouldn't hire us. Because I would solve their problem that day, right? Like here's what's going on, here's what you have to do, this would be my recommendation. I'm out the door, and then they're like, ghost you. And so it's really bad, because for me, I care more about, is the community getting better, than I do my business. And that's not great. Trust me, I got to struggle with that, and I've got to balance that a little bit. But I care more about someone's success than I do my own, and that's what a selfless leader does. I was in the truck on the way here. I know I drove all the way to Texas. Anyway, and I get a phone call from a gentleman who hired us a few years ago to do some work, and we've communicated back and forth, but we've got no further engagement with them, and that's okay. And he calls me up and he's asking me for some advice, and he's like, I want to secure some coaching hours, and Joe's going to kill me for this, and I refused. I told him I'd be happy to mentor him, and it doesn't cost any money for me to be able to mentor you if that's what you want. If you want to be able to pick up the phone and talk to me and run some stuff by me, and that's all you're looking for, don't get me wrong, I can't take on 10,000 mentorships, but it's important to mentor people, and it's important to give back to this community. And I flat out told him, no, I'm not. That's not how this is going to work. Like, you're not looking for consulting, you're looking for mentorship, and that doesn't cost something if you're a decent human being. So, and I have found that throughout this industry. It is not just me. I'm not trying to put me in some light or pat myself on the back. Plenty of people have mentored me to help me get to the successes that I've seen. And it's a very open industry in sharing best practices and successes and failures and what worked and didn't work. And I don't think you need to put a price tag on being a decent human being.
Yeah, well, we're not lawyers and CPAs that have to hit a red button that starts the quarter-hour billing. And I shouldn't say we. I'm saying you guys, right? Like for me, I've received that mentorship from you and some other people, and I've also received the opposite, where I was like, hey, you were talking about this and that. Is that something you could share? And the response was, well, that's my IP. I can't just give that to you. And you got to be aware of that. But I think this is another reason why so many people respect you and ReliabilityX and how you do the things that you do. And I think Joe will give you a pass, but he's definitely gonna, give you some shit about it
Yeah,
because
well, we did that workshop today. That workshop was 50 people in a room, and we have developed a completely the first that I'm aware of, complete self-assessment with output reporting charts, with no software involved, no licensing involved. So we were able to develop this using standard tools that people already have access to and build that all in our website. And we offer this self-assessment. This process that we go through looks at our framework, 40 different building blocks, asks like 5 questions each, prioritizes the building blocks based on value and simplicity, and then ultimately results in a bunch of bubble charts and a Pareto analysis that tells you what your strategy should be. We sell that on our website for $1,000. For $1,000, you can go take that survey, go see all your results, and it's a long. I mean, it's 45 questions times 40, so it's 200 data points plus the ranking of simplicity and value. So probably 250, about 300 total data points. We offer that as an offering on our website for $1,000, and 50 people did it for free in our workshop. And that's like, we want people to learn how to build a strategy, because that's the part that's really difficult. Where to start? How do I know where to start? That's the question you get all the time. And so we want people to have easy access to where do you start. And people, we tend to overcomplicate things in the space of reliability, and it's not that complicated. What's difficult is starting and articulating for people. And we want to take that off the table. We want to give that to them so that they can make that happen at an inexpensive price point.
Well, that sounds like what you want to actually do is help the industry, and that way everybody's moving better. I mean, we always talk about these concepts of, let's not fight over the same small piece of pie. Let's expand the pie. Let's help more people. I know you guys launched a community just before you guys got here to SMRP that it's got a lot of intention behind it to, kind of follow the concept of iron sharpens iron. Let's get people in here that really want to learn and go on this journey, contribute to this journey, be accountable, start to understand that it's not your metrics, it's the behaviors that create the metrics, and focusing in on that. I encourage everybody to check that out, because I signed up for it right away, and I sign up for it knowing that, all right, can I make a contribution? Well, I can participate, and I might have some questions that result in something that is a contribution, because you or Joe or Paul or Dan, somebody might answer it. I think that's a really great thing to build a community around that. And I know there's a lot going on with the new learning materials, the Kahoots you're doing. That workshop, by the way, I heard there were 60 plus and some standing room, and I think really good stuff. And it's not just because you guys are my friends. I mean, I know that it's going to have those outcomes where people can take it away. I heard about it back in February when you were doing some similar, not exactly the same thing, but some similar stuff at Streamline. Let's switch it up a little bit, just on SMRP itself. And we've already heard about the fact that it's going to be out in Raleigh, North Carolina next year. What do you think is different this year, and what do you think will be different next year? And I know this is a highly speculative type of thing, but, of course, a lot of AI and all that, but are you noticing new blood, young up-and-comers that are at this conference? Are you seeing anything that's different? Or are you seeing more of the same? And that's also kind of a part of it. We got to hold on to those basics and those fundamentals.
Well, I certainly see a shift you ask me loaded questions, which I like,
Always.
but sometimes it means I'm going to get myself in trouble. So we'll try to not do that. I think it's always a good balance. SMRP does have a tendency to bring in some new blood. And so, I love coming to SMRP and seeing the people I've known for 20 years. It is, in many cases, the only time we get together, or, one of a handful of times that we might get together throughout the year. So it's great to see folks, even if they're competitors. I mean, I've known my competitors long before I started my business by going to events like this. So I know those people as industry friends much more than I do competitors. And it's great to see new faces, especially now you're seeing an influx of, under 30s. You're seeing a bunch of folks that are coming in that are data analysts that are focusing on, how I'm now the reliability person. They hired me to be the reliability person. I don't know anything about reliability. And instead of going, well, you're screwed, I go, well, neither did I when I got my first gig. I got pulled into a room because I was a successful planner, and a gentleman named Jeff Scaramazino said, what do you know about reliability? And I said, nothing. And he said, great, you're hired. But look, so you created this whole planning thing, and it's really successful. We want you to now do it over here. And I didn't know anything about reliability, like other than the stuff my father taught me, being a mechanic. And so, I can relate to that, and they need mentors. So it's great to see that new fresh blood coming in. They look like deer in the headlights when they walk around, which is okay because, we all did the first time we showed up to something like this. And it's actually refreshing to see that. So I'm good with that. I wish there's a couple things, I'm just way too honest and too direct, but you can edit this out if you want. But I hope that when they go to Raleigh, they have the hotel or secondary hotels also very close to where the venue is. As an expo person, when the secondary hotels are 3 blocks away, those folks don't show up. And so you're not getting the same traffic flow based on the venue. And SMRP tends to book places that have like an expo across from a hotel, but then they sell 1,500 seats, and there's 2 other hotels, and all the people I already know that plan this a year out that are sponsors fill up the hotel that's across the street, and all the people that you want coming into the expo are 3 blocks away. So I hope that they find venues where that traffic is better, and they have in the past. I think this year the logistics of it is just that there's a hotel across, and the other hotels are a couple blocks away. So that tends to create not an issue, but you want the logistics to be a little better if they can be a little better. So I hope for that next year. I also hope that they continue to bring in new blood. As far as technology and basics, you already know where I stand on this. Knowing you suck faster isn't helping. And every iteration of technology keeps telling us we suck faster. No one's fixing the issue that creates the need for the alarm. And that's what we do, right? So, the technology is necessary. There, when you simplify maintenance, it comes down to 3 things, in my opinion. 1, don't be the source of your own problems. So if you're going to do the job, do it right. Do it with precision and do it right. Don't create problems. The second, manage degradation. Parts are still going to wear, so you have to manage lubrication, you have to align things, you have to balance them, so you degrade the assets slower. And then the third thing is, if it's going to foul anyway, know in advance. So you need the technologies. But if you're not doing the first 2 things, the technology is just telling you suck faster. So you still have to do the other 2 things. And I hope, and everybody, even the folks in the industry, in the technology spaces, are going, man, if they would just do the basics right. You've got folks, and there's logos right nearby us, where you can go into a plant and see their sensors mounted in the center of a motor or on the frame, or completely wrong ideas, and not adding the value because the people at the site that are installing these things, they just don't know. And so you hear those horror stories and see those horror stories. Heck, I saw somebody online very recently posting how proud they were of this new, I'm just going to say device and everything that was going to come with it. And the picture they were showing was a bearing with grease spewing out of the seals. Like they're going, yes. We got these new sensors. That's great, but that's not going to fix the way you're over greasing your equipment. Like it's just going to tell you the bearing's going bad faster. It's not helping you. And so there has to be a balance to that. And I hope that, unfortunately for the past 50 years, we've been chasing that. It's not like it's new. We've been chasing it since technology started to come into play within the space. And everybody wants to chase the technology and not put the work in to eliminate the reason you need the technology in the first place, right?
Well, so there it is. And it's a perfect way for us to close out, you being here with me at SMRP on Friends of Nano. Thanks, Nano Precise, all the sponsors that participated. I have to shout out ReliabilityX for the awesome rig and George spending this time. Basics, people, you got to use those basics, and then those tools, those technology tools, can really amplify, augment, and add value. But without those basics and doing those things right with precision, as you said, you're not going to get anywhere. George, thanks for being here with me, and thanks for bringing the rig.
Always a pleasure, Greg. Thank you so much.
Did you find this episode helpful? Please send us some feedback, suggest a topic, or ask a question. Reach out to CMMS Radio if you need a co-pilot on your CMMS project. Visit CMMSradio.com and use the What's on Your Mind link. Thank you for tuning in to CMMS Radio, your resource for all things CMMS, from selection to implementation, to help you make better choices, learn from industry experts, and have a successful CMMS journey.